Exactly a year ago, on November 3rd, 2024, I uploaded my first Honkai Star Rail video titled Genshin Player Plays Honkai Star Rail for the First Time. Back then I had no idea how big this game would actually become for me. I mean, as a longtime Genshin player, I expected it to be good, since it was made by HoYoverse, but over this past year I've gotten invested in the story, the characters and the universe of Honkai Star Rail way more than I could have ever imagined. And now that a year has passed, I want to look back on this experience and share my thoughts about the game with you, and also just go over my account and show what it looks like after a year. But before we get to that, let's talk about what even got me to play this game in the first place, and why did I start it when I did and not earlier or later. Well, the truth is, I wanted to play it the day it was released. Honkai Star Rail was the first big HoYoverse game since Genshin, and so there was of course a lot of hype around it back then, and I was very aware of this game in the weeks leading up to its release. But around that time I was also writing my bachelor's thesis, so even though I really wanted to play HSR, I decided against it to focus on getting my degree. I just didn't have the time for another gacha game. So even though everyone back then was talking about it and I felt like I was really missing out on something special, I did not download Honkai Star Rail. And then the hype passed. HSR just became another game among many, and I felt like I had missed my chance, so I just kept focusing on Genshin. But I still kept up with some of the news about Honkai Star Rail and often thought to myself how cool the new characters looked. I always knew that I would probably try HSR someday, but there was never really that one character that pushed me to actually play the game. Until March of 2024, and a certain purple-haired Self-Annihilator was released. Acheron immediately caught my attention, especially after I found out that she is Star Rail's version of Raiden, who's one of my favorite characters in Genshin, but I was still hesitant, and so I kinda missed her banner, and then I regretted it as soon as I saw the animated short where she dances with Black Swan. I know that was released before Acheron, but I didn't see it until like June or July, I think. But after I watched that, I decided that when Acheron gets a rerun, that's when I was finally gonna play Honkai Star Rail. So, Acheron is the reason why I started playing HSR. Or, well, one of the reasons. Because not long before her rerun finally happened, HSR announced its first collab. And it was, of course, with Fates Tonight Unlimited Blade Works. Now you might not know that, but this channel actually started as a Fate Grand Order channel, and even though Genshin and HSR are now my main games, I still occasionally upload FGO videos. I've been a huge Fate fan for almost exactly a decade at this point, so when this collab was announced, I was like, yep, I'm playing this game no matter what. I mean, Acheron alone would have already been enough to push me to play HSR, but the Fate collab just made the decision even easier. And so I started playing it 10 days before Acheron's first rerun. And well, just look at the thumbnail of my first HSR video. That says it all, right? I fell in love with the game immediately. While the prologue in the Hertha space station is not a masterpiece by any means, it still is an awesome introduction to the game and some of the core characters and concepts of the HSR world. I of course knew about the Astro Express already even before playing the game, because like I said, I kept up with news about the game and trailers and stuff, but actually becoming a part of the crew and going on an adventure on this awesome looking space train, it was just magical. You know that feeling when you start a new game and you know it's gonna be a good one and you're excited to just finally dive into it? Star Rail takes that feeling and multiplies it. The game does an excellent job pulling you in with interesting characters and cool looking action right from the get-go, and then the more you find out about the vast universe of Honkai Star Rail, the more you want to explore it. And you can, by just hopping on a train and becoming a trailblazer, which is, by the way, such a cool concept. I mean, just a group of people traveling through space on a train of all things and exploring all kinds of planets. I just love that. And it works even better than you'd think because of the members of the Astro Express crew who are just the best. Denheng, March, Himeko, Welt, Pompom, and of course the Trailblazer themselves. I love them all. I can't imagine the Astro Express without them. So yeah, the characters and story are good, but what about the gameplay? Turn-based battles are not for everyone, and I've seen a lot of people actually criticize that aspect of the game. I think since a lot of HSR players originally came from Genshin, they were maybe expecting the gameplay to be very similar, which it is in some ways, but of course the battle system specifically is completely different. But even as a Genshin player, I don't mind the turn-based combat. I'm also a huge Pokemon fan, so yeah, turn-based battles were nothing new to me, and they are done pretty well in HSR. The battle system is not so overly complicated that a casual player would feel completely overwhelmed, and they also do a good job easing you into it in the beginning, but it still has enough depth that if you take your time to really learn about things like action value and what all the different characters' traces do, you can optimize it quite a bit. Though a lot of it, of course, also relies on how good your relics are, and that's where the problems start, but we will get to that later. For now, let's just take a look at my account after 1 year. I actually managed to get a bunch of good characters, though I should probably mention that I'm not free to play. I'm also not a whale though, just a dolphin, a low spender. I just regularly buy the battle pass and the supply pass like I do in Genshin, because, you know, that's the best value for your money in these games usually. I only directly buy Oniric shards when I really have to. But yeah, let's take a look at which 5 stars I got in this 1 year. First one was of course, well, actually I want to say Acheron, but the truth is it was Yanqing, and he is still, yeah, let's not talk about Yanqing. Here's my Acheron build. She has pretty decent attack and crit. Definitely not the best build you've ever seen, but it's functional. And the same can be said about basically all my builds. It's just there's only so much you can do within 1 year if you have my kind of luck with relics. But yeah, she was the first 5-star I rolled for, and then the second, if I remember correctly, was Firefly, who is also one of my favorite characters alongside Acheron. I even managed to get her to E1, so that's kinda nice. And then not long after her, I got Linksha. Oh, and also I got Bronya, I think, before Linksha actually, before Firefly even, from the free 5-star selector back in December, if I remember correctly. And since then, I have actually gotten 2 Eidolons for her. So yeah, she's my highest Eidolon standard character, and actually also the only standard character I've built so far. I really like Bronya. The other standard characters, some of them are pretty cool, but I haven't really gotten around to building them yet, and yeah, Bronya is definitely my favorite. But yeah, after Linksha, I didn't actually roll for any 5 stars in several months, because I was saving for the Fate collab in hopes that Saber would be one of the collab characters, which was then confirmed in April, 3 months after my Linksha rolls, so I already had a huge amount of Stellar Jade then, and I continued saving until July, until the collab. I did get one 5-star though between Linksha and Saber, and that 5-star was Ruan Mei, because she was given out for free on Star Rail's 2nd anniversary. But yeah, my main target for like half a year was Saber, and because of that, I basically skipped all the Amphorius characters. I also hadn't started Amphorius yet back then, so I didn't really know anything about these characters, and going just by character design, the only one I really wanted was Cypher. But her banner was directly before the collab, so I had to skip her as well, sadly. I'm definitely gonna roll for her on a rerun though, which is gonna be in a few weeks. But yeah, let's take a look now at the one who made me skip all those Amphorius characters. There she is, Saber. And yeah, I'm just gonna go straight to Eidolons here. Yeah, she's E6. The saving definitely paid off. Well, kinda. I still had to buy a few Oniric shards at the end, but most of her Eidolons I got with the Stellar Jade and tickets I saved up between January and July. And was it worth it? Yes. Yes. Absolutely yes. I mean, you have to understand that Saber is not just any character for me. She's one of my favorite fictional characters ever. Out of every movie or show I've ever watched, game I ever played, book I ever read, she is one of the top characters for me. I have a maxed out Saber in Vagrant Order, so yeah, it was only natural that I would also max her out here in HSR. And of course I also built Archer, and I'm actually planning to roll for Eidolons for him as well at some point before the collab banners end, because he's also one of my favorite Fate characters. I just haven't really gotten around to rolling for Eidolons yet because of some other characters. Because after Saber, I was finally free to roll for Amphorius characters, just in time for Evernight. I love March, so yeah, of course I had to roll for a 5-star version, and I gotta say, gameplay-wise, Evernight might actually be my favorite character. I've been having a lot of fun playing her in the 1.5 months since her release, and even though I don't even have a proper team for her yet, because, like I already said, I skipped all the other Amphorius characters, so the only Remembrance character I have aside from Evernight herself is Stell, but that will hopefully change in a few days when Hyacinth gets her first rerun. But yeah, what I want to say is that even with only one Remembrance teammate, Evernight is actually my second strongest DPS already after Saber, which just shows how bad power creep is in this game. And yeah, talking about the power creep, so far this video has been pretty positive, but there are definitely some things I dislike about HSR, and the power creep is one of those things. It's just ridiculous how much new characters get shilled and how fast characters fall down the tier lists. Back when I started playing, Firefly was considered one of the best characters in the game, and Acheron was also really good, but now I can't even 3-star MOC 12 with them. Meanwhile, Evernight just breezes through the endgame like it's nothing, even with a very suboptimal team. But the thing is, give it like half a year or so and Evernight will probably be in the exact same situation Firefly and Acheron are in right now. And that just takes so much of the fun out of the endgame content for me. It's just knowing that even if you have something good going right now, some good teams to make it feel easy, in just a few months you might be screwed if you don't continuously roll for the newest characters. And your favorites are just gonna become useless. Well, not completely useless, they can still be used in most of the game, of course, and I'm not giving up on Firefly and Acheron, but it just still feels so bad having to invest so much into them just for them to get out-damaged by a low investment Evernight. Makes me wonder what's even the point of building characters sometimes, if all that effort is just gonna turn out to be a waste of time eventually. And talking about building characters, there we have the second thing I hate about HSR, even more than the power creep I would say, Relics. I went into this game knowing full well that it had a very similar system to the artifacts in Genshin, but I did not expect Relics to be way worse than artifacts. Because frankly, artifacts are already bad enough. But for some reason the HSR devs thought that it was a good idea to take everything that's bad about the artifact system in Genshin and then just double it for HSR. Not only is there a higher number of possible substats in HSR, so it's harder to get the specific substats you want on each relic, but there's also one relic slot more than in Genshin. You need 5 artifacts per character in Genshin, but 6 relics per character in HSR. And the worst thing about it? There's no off-piece in HSR. Every single relic needs to be on set. And that alone makes HSR characters so much harder to build. In Genshin there's always one artifact that can be from whatever set, just anything that has the right stats, and that is like one of the few saving graces of the artifact system in Genshin. And HSR just removed that and added another slot for some reason? It's so stupid and frustrating. Like, look at my Saber here. Her build is pretty good, it's actually my best build, but I had to use the majority of my fuel to build her. I actually made a video about it back then where I used thousands upon thousands of Trailblaze power to farm relics for her, and you know what that got me? Almost nothing. Even after spending so much Trailblaze power on her relics, I still had to create a bunch of relics with resin to complete her build. So to get just one good build, I basically had to use almost all of the resources I'd saved up over months of playing this game. It is ridiculous how long it takes to build characters. It is so bad that it actually made me appreciate artifacts in Genshin more. And artifacts are not great either, like I already said, but unironically, I have more fun farming artifacts nowadays than I used to, simply because HSR showed how much worse it can be. Back before HSR, when I got a bad artifact with only like 1 or 2 usable substats, that was a frustrating experience. But nowadays I'm like, well, it may not look good, but it's still better than 90% of the relics I get in Star Rail. Which is again ridiculous, but I really don't mind artifacts as much anymore, thanks to HSR. Like, it cannot be overstated how much I hate relic farming. Over the 5 years I've been playing Genshin, there were maybe like 3 or 4 times where I was so fed up with artifacts that I considered dropping the game. But in just 1 year of playing HSR, there were at least 10 times where I was so fed up with relics that I was seriously considering dropping the game. So why didn't I? Because despite the game's flaws, the characters and the story still have me in a chokehold and won't let go. I love some of the characters and I really like the story, even though it sometimes does feel a bit dragged out and definitely could be shortened here and there. it's still overall pretty good and has some awesome twists and pretty cool cutscenes. So far my favorite is still Chariot 6. I just really love the story on that planet, but Penacony was amazing as well. And maybe Amphorius will become my favorite at some point, who knows? I can't really say yet, because I'm not caught up yet. I just started Amphorius a few weeks ago actually, and I think I'm now at the part that was released in 3.1. I just met Anaxa for the first time. But it will still be a while before you get to see me react to all this stuff that happens in Amphorius, because when it comes to my HSR story videos, well, let's just say they've been slow. I'm months behind on the uploads, just started uploading Penacony not too long ago actually, even though I started playing Penacony back in December, so almost a year ago. But there's still people watching these videos every time I upload one, so to all of you who are patiently waiting for me to continue my HSR playthrough, thank you. I appreciate every single one of you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of my reactions to Penacony and eventually Amphorius. I wanna try finish editing and uploading all the Penacony videos this year, so I can start uploading Amphorius hopefully before version 4.0, but I can't make any promises, okay? Anyway, got a bit sidetracked here. Let's get back to me showing off my 1-year-old account. We already looked at the characters, so let's now take a look at some general stats of my account here on HoYoLab. So yeah, as you can see, 364 days active, so almost a full year. I'm recording this a day before the actual anniversary, I guess. But the video should go up tomorrow if everything goes to plan. And then we have this here, which is Forgotten Hope, Pure Fiction. Oh, those are the endgame modes. Yeah, as you can see, I'm able to get all the stars in these 3 game modes, mainly thanks to Saber and Evernight, but sometimes even Firefly and Archon can still pull their weight. It just really depends on which enemies are there. Saber and Evernight I can use pretty much every time, but for Firefly and Archon it has to be enemies they're actually good against. Oh, and of course Archer also still exists. Honestly, I don't use him much because his build is still very work in progress, and I like most of his best supports like Sparkle for example. But he does work pretty well in Apocalyptic Shadow at least. And as for the new endgame mode that was added recently, I think it's called Anomaly Arbitration, right? I haven't cleared that yet, because you need 3 really good teams for that, and yeah, like I already said, I only have 2, but I hope that I can clear it soon. Okay, what else is there? 35 characters unlocked, and 595 achievements. I don't know if this is actually a lot after 1 year or not, no idea. But yeah, apparently I have 20 gold achievements, 129 silver and 446 bronze achievements. And then treasures open, so basically exploration progress. Yeah, Amphorius, not a lot, because like I said, I just started Amphorius basically, so I haven't done a lot of exploration there. Penacony, I'm almost at 100% it seems, which yeah, makes sense, because I actually did a lot of exploration in Penacony to get the currency that you need to level up the Clocky statue, because most of Harmony Trailblazers' Eidolons are locked behind Clocky statue levels. And since, you know, Firefly is one of my favorite characters, I really needed to get my Harmony Trailblazer to E6 ASAP. That's why I actually did a lot more Penacony exploration than Xiangshu Lofu exploration, yeah, only 64 of 147, that's not even 50%, but yeah, I don't know. Xiangshu is kinda whatever. Definitely gonna finish it at some point, but yeah, guess I just haven't really gotten around to it yet. Chavilo I'm almost done with, almost at 100%. Definitely gotta make sure to find these last few chests at some point. And then the Herta space station is actually complete. Well, there aren't that many chests here compared to the other regions. I mean, look at Amphorius, 407, like, that's twice what Penacony had. And Penacony already had over 100 more than the Lofu, which had a lot more than Chavilo, which had a lot more than Herta space stations, just getting more and more and more. I mean, I don't mind, more chests means more Stellar Jade. But yeah, and then there's Ethereum Boss. I haven't really done that yet, probably should do that at some point as well. And then, last but not least, what do we have here? Clockwork Soldier. Oh, it's Divergent Universe. Okay, yeah. I guess in the previous phase I got to level 70, and now in the current phase I'm at level 93. So I guess if you wanted to know that, there it is. And yeah, if you scroll down here, I think there's just more details about these things here, which would take way too long to go over all of that. So I feel like this little overview here is already pretty nice to see like where my account is at after 1 year. So, to summarize my thoughts about the game. On one hand, I love it because of the awesome characters and the interesting story and world building, and those things are gonna keep me playing for the foreseeable future. On the other hand, I'm a bit worried about the direction this game is going in with all the power creep, and Hui was getting greedier and greedier with every update, and I just still really hate the relic farming, even though there are some things that make it at least a bit more bearable, like the self-modeling resin and the reroll dice, so it's nice that we got that at least, but we also only got a very limited amount of those, so you still have to get a lot of relics from actual farming, which is sometimes it just feels impossible. So yeah, by no means is it a flawless game, but it is definitely a very good one, and overall I would say I've enjoyed most of my time playing Honkai Star Rail over this year. And yeah, I'm actually excited to see what's next. Especially since I'm 4 reels so far, seems pretty awesome. Like, again, I'm still not that far into it, but it could be insane if it, like, continues the way it's going right now. But yeah, if you've made it to this part of the video without getting tired of me just rambling on about this game, then why don't you hit that sub button and leave a like on this video. It's free and it really helps me out, and I appreciate every bit of support. Also, tell me in the comments what your experience was like in your first year of playing Honkai Star Rail and how it is similar to or maybe different from mine. I would love to hear some of your stories. And yeah, with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.